To our future scientists, I am Tolofelo and welcome to today's lesson on the human reproductive system. In this part of the lesson, we are going to be working on practice and application questions. So the first part, we are looking at practice questions. And we have a question here that instructs us to define the term sexual reproduction. We can define sexual reproduction as the production of new living organisms. And then question 2, or the second instruction, says, provide the scientific name for the following words. Sex cells, we know that there's a scientific name for sex cells, and there is a scientific name for egg cells released by the ovaries. And sex cells are known as gametes. And an egg cell is known as an ovum. Remember we said ovum is for singular. And ova is for plural form. Okay. Next question. There is a diagram of the male reproductive system. And then the instruction says, study the diagram of the male reproductive system. Provide labels for parts labeled A, B, C, and D. So part A, if we start labeling part A points to a duct that leads into the penis. We know that is a urethra because this urethra excretes urine and transports a semen containing sperm. And then label B is pointing to the male organ that is extended outwards, and that is the penis. And then C is pointing to another duct that is part of the male reproductive system. And that leads from a part where sperm are produced, and that transports the semen containing sperm to the penis. We know this duct or this tube is known as the vas deferens. Note that the V is in capital letters. We also know that the informal word for this component or part is known as the sperm duct. And then label D is pointing to that organ that produces sperm cells. We know that if it's one, it's testes, like with an I. Okay, second instruction, there is a diagram of the female reproductive system. And the instruction says, provide labels for parts labeled A, B, and C. Okay, so part A points to a tube that leads from a place where egg cells are produced. And it is a place where egg cells are released into. That is A. We know that is a fallopian tube. Fallopian is also always in a capital F. And then we have B. This is the part that releases the egg cells or the ova. And we know that that is an ovary. And then C points to the hollow muscular organ where a zygote implants itself, and that is known as the uterus. Okay, next question. The instruction says complete the statements below by choosing the correct word in the box. So in the box we have the following words: cervix, copulation, fallopian tubes, fertilization, testes, and urethra. So sexual intercourse is also called, we know that cervix is an organ, we have copulation, and we did say that copulation is another word for sexual intercourse. Okay, number 2. So something here, we don't know what it is, we have to find out what it is. Normally takes place in the fallopian tubes of females. Okay, we've used copulation, cervix, we know is an ovum. We are not being asked about the fallopian tube, but we are asked about a process that happens in the fallopian tubes. We know that the sperm cell fuses with the egg cell in the fallopian tubes through a process called fertilization. And then the next part, number 3, the structure of the male reproductive system that produces sperm cells and testosterone is called the, we know that relates to females. Okay, we've used that word that also relates to females. So we are left with testes and urethra. We know urethra is a duct. We know testes is a structure or an organ that helps produce, or where sperm cells are produced, and testosterone is also produced. So we will write testes in number 3. And we scratch it out because we've used it. Okay, we'll scratch out what we've used. Okay, and then number 4, the something that is not mentioned is the tube through which sperm or urine passes. We know that with males, the urethra, they are able to pass or excrete urine through the urethra, and they are also able to, and semen containing sperm also passes through the urethra. In females, we know that the urethra is only used to excrete urine only. So for number 4, the answer is urethra. Moving on to the next question. Number 5, the something are found on either side of the uterus and connects it to the ovaries. So we have cervix and fallopian tubes. Okay, we know that cervix is the neck of the uterus, so we have fallopian tubes there, so we can use fallopian tubes, and we know that they do connect the ovaries and the uterus, and this is the path that the egg cell or the ovum has to follow to reach the uterus. Fallopian tubes. Okay, moving on to the last question, number 6. The something is also called the neck of the uterus and opens up into the vagina. We know that the cervix is also called the neck of the uterus. That is it from our practice question segment. Let us take a break and we will be back soon.